Follow-up questions from the 7th of September Community of Grace Presbyterian Church. Hey, no one asked me anything about the sermon this week, but some folks did wonder about communion. There's so many different ways that people have grown up with communion, and so there was some question about why we do it the way we do it here.
Yeah, so here at Community of Grace, we invite folks to come up to the table, but there's two different sides of the sanctuary you can come to. Some might come around this side of the sanctuary and receive the elements from one of our deacons and receive a little prayer alongside the elements. Or you might come up on the other side of the sanctuary, take the bread and juice for yourself, and go and sit and have your own little moment to take communion. I see these as kind of the one side of the church leaning into that very communal aspect of communion, wanting to receive this moment alongside some leaders in the church. And then some other folks might want to lean into the very Lord's Supper, God's table, moment with God side of communion and take it just for themselves. Now, this is the way that we do it here at Community of Grace, but this is not the only way that churches practice communion. In my church growing up, we passed a plate through the pews. We all sat and waited together until the pastor said, "This is the body broken for you, this is the blood shed for you," took it all at the same time. There are some other churches that might do the same pass the plates, but you still take it on your own, at your own time. I had a friend's church who I would go to, and they would all welcome everyone to come up to the front, kind of like how we do here, but they all stood in a circle and they passed a cup around the circle. They did it in tinction style, where the bread would dip into the cup, you'd take it, you'd pass it on to the next person. So there's a lot of different ways that we can do communion. I think Pastor Hansen might have some more that he can add that he can think of.
That intinction style has been a little less popular since COVID, but there are many churches that still bring people to a table, one group at a time, to pray together. Even some where the priest will put the cracker on your tongue, which was a little weird the first time I did that. Of course, some of our neighbors here in Utah have their own way of doing communion as well, which I've watched happen on several Sundays. This church used to do communion in the early service every Sunday, just like our neighbors. And now we do it once a month in our one service altogether.
So there are a lot of different ways that communion is practiced, but it still is a very sacred thing in the church, a very sacred thing to Christianity, which is why in the Presbyterian Church at least, only ordained pastors will oversee communion. That's why you'll see Pastor Hansen doing it and not me quite yet. But this does not mean that this is something that has to be done in one strict way. It is still something that is an experience within a community and an experience with our God.
Thanks for asking.